duties, infrastructural duties, and really just focus on the science, focus on the patient, focus on the end goal, focus on the research. So that's where we are with that. I guess that's all I can say for now. I don't know how we're doing on time. Right? Okay, good. We take questions or just? Okay, great. So I'll be available to take your questions as soon as the other speakers are finished. Thank you.
Sonia, next will be Ocharan from CCG International.
Good morning, all. Name is Ocharan. I'm actually the owner and founder of CCG International. I've personally been in the IT industry for over 22 years, the last 14 years specifically in the biopharmaceutical area. We worked with various clients from bioplasma research to hardcore pharmaceuticals to new development companies. We've been established since 1990. We've been down here in South Florida for 14 years. Our specialty is business process reengineering. We start with companies, whether they're from the starting ground up or as they're developing and emerging into new areas. One of the things that we've found in this particular segment is that there's a lot of requirements from the government level. You have requirements, material traceability, regulatory requirements, need of totally integrated solutions, pedigree, CRM. What we found over the years is that a lot of the companies are using disparate systems to actually control and maintain that information. As we're going now into the years going into the future, now the government is regulating more of it. The government now says, when you have a particular item, you need to be able to track its total traceability. Its individual components, subcomponents, where you purchase the products from, where you sold it to, what customer you sold it to, because you have key requirements that if a particular item and its lot is, for whatever reason, viewed as unserviceable, you need to be able to track it. Okay? That's some of the requirements that are in the material traceability. Other regulatory requirements can be CFR 121, which are signature requirements for all the documents that are going out. Some of the other ones are lineage or pedigree, which is now within the state of Florida and is expanding. You also have pedigree and pedigree rules that are coming up throughout all states, the next major one being California. Okay. Some of the rules are here that I have in front of me, which is section 490-100 process validation requirements, which is the batch requirements processing. You must conform batches, you must inspect the validation of the activities, inspection of validation activities during a post-approval inspection process, completion of initial information on the batches, and active ingredients. This is all the lot traceability. Now, the whole thing is that most of the companies, whether they be a small company or a large global pharmaceutical, are now running into these issues where they have to be able to track more and more information. They need to be able to track it real time, immediately, and they need to be able to lock it out. What I mean by lock it is they need to be able to say, I may have this product, it may be in multiple warehouses, even within the U.S. or within the world, but you need to be able to stop that process from being picked, packed, or even sent out to any of your customers. Otherwise, you risk legalities involved. What I have here right now is a map of the current pedigree requirements by state. Okay, if you see the state of Florida, the state of Florida already has, erected legislation on the pedigrees. Okay, the pedigrees right now for the smaller companies are actually handled by paper. because there is no true electronic method where you're going to get the pedigree or the lineage from your vendor. And the problem you have is the vendor may actually be two vendors. So you may purchase the same product with the same lot number with different lineages, because you're purchasing one from Abbott Laboratories and you may be purchasing another one from another distributor. But the requirements at the state level are that you must track the lineage of all your vendors, no matter where they are and no matter what lots are coming from. Okay? This is what's stopping the industry from selling pharmaceuticals over the internet. Okay? What we have here is, the need for a totally integrated distribution system. Okay? When the industry goes out right now, you actually have disparate systems, and that's the problem. You have one system that you're using for your financials, another system you're using for your distribution, another system you're using to handle your pedigree, another system that you may be using for your lot material tracking or your product analysis. The whole thing is the needs now are for a totally integrated system. Okay? What we have here is just for us, just a quick review of who we are, the companies we've represented over the years. That's in short. I'm a very short speaker. If you have any questions, I'll be able to follow up later.
Thank you, Liz. Steve Payment.
Thank you. My name's Steve Payment. I'm the IBM client executive for the public sector in Florida as part of our public sector division. And I want to start by saying I learned everything I know about public speaking from Pete Martinez sitting up front here. If anybody knows Pete, former IBM executive now with the Quantum Group, and knows a little bit about him, you're in for a long haul here. I recommend go to the bathroom before he starts his speech this afternoon. So I've been with IBM for 12 years and have responsibility for public sector throughout Florida and our client relationships and business development. And the public sector in IBM consists of healthcare, life sciences, government, and education. And for 12 years I've been at IBM, I've primarily dealt with the healthcare segment. I began in calling on hospitals up in New York City through the Northeast, and then moved down to the Southeast, and I've spent the last 9 years primarily with the hospital systems throughout the state of Florida. And it's been interesting. When I started in healthcare, I came from another business segment, and so I wanted to get to know the business, and I looked at some hospital financial records and their income statements, and just was blown away at how ugly it looked. These hospitals had awful results from operations, and I couldn't see how they could keep running in the way they were running. And then you get to the kind of the bottom of the income statement, you realize that they're living off of these big investment portfolios that are making up for poor operations. And that was 12 years ago, and I've watched the transition happen. I mean, these hospitals had dealt for years with they came out of a cost-plus model that, they didn't really have to perform. It's, wherever the cost was, we'll just mark it up. And they had to deal with managed care, and they've had to transition. I've watched the financial executives get stronger and stronger every year. And to the point now where I see these hospitals being run just as well as any Fortune 500 company. They're focused on results. They're focused on quality. They can see the future. They can see that they need to keep changing. So I've seen a lot of the changes happening. We all know that there's a long way to go. Dr. Giamma this morning talking about what quantum's doing and the problems in healthcare. He was right on the money. I mean, there's so much more that we need to do. So, the healthcare just in general is backward in the way it works. That was the other thing that when I started in the business I didn't understand, is that, the customer, I always thought before I started in healthcare, was the patient. And I quickly came to see that after studying the hospitals and the way they work, and talking to the executives, they kept talking about, well, we really need to manage the payers, and we really need to make sure the doctors are happy with us because they're the ones bringing us the patients. And, oh yeah, by the way, we got to take good care of the patients too.